Okay, welcome everybody to Crafty Crows. We've got a great lineup tonight. We've got Daron Carey, all the way from, I'm going to get this right. I have got it down actually, Peter. Where are you from, Daron? Where you haven't put it down?
You're muted.
You're on mute, Daron.
Derby.
Derby, brilliant, all the way from Derby. And we've also got our very own Charlie Markwick, although he isn't here anymore, he's in France, but he's with us tonight, which is great. We've got lots of lovely open micers. And without any more ado, I'm going to get going. I would just tell everybody that it is being recorded, as you just heard, and we do put it out on our YouTube channel. So if you've got any new poems that you've not shared with anybody before, you might think about that before reading them out. Okay, and I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote this time last year, and this is why I've got the field of wonderful flowers behind me. It doesn't seem possible that it's a year ago that I wrote this poem, and of course it is in my new collection, A Quietus. Oh, that's interesting. There we go. So it's called Pyronia Tithonus. I've left my garden to grow wild. Let dandelions and willow herb thrive. Bindweed twined stem of shrub and rose, and now the gatekeepers have come to settle behind the high fences to keep watch on those who enter. They welcome in hedgehogs, thrushes, wasps and ladybirds, all creatures that prey on pests or scavenge waste. The gatekeepers land on bushes, lay their eggs on the tall grasses, leave their children to roam at will. At the arrival of late summer, I'll watch the splitting of chrysalis and the slow filling of wing. There is shelter in this rough order, and the gatekeepers recognize how civilization suffocates. Thank you. Gatekeepers are the gatekeeper butterflies, of course, and they were in our garden last year, masses of them, terracotta butterflies everywhere. And today I saw one, so it reminded me of the poem, and I thought, yes, I've got to do it today. So, straight on, we'll open our first open micer. Margaret Royal, are you ready to go? Where are you? I've lost
I'm
you.
here, yes.
Hi, brilliant. Welcome.
Just unmuting. Yes, an offering today, thinking that normally I would probably be in France at this time. I've really missed going to France with lockdown and everything. About the day my son was born. He's now 44, so it's a long time ago. It's called Sunrise Heralds a Birth. The day my son was born, the hares were boxing on Potter Hill, as hazy sun, pale as peach bloom, rose from the nakedness to start its climb to summer glory, bringing a new treasure. Along the lanes, cow parsley lisped its monkish plain song, curtsied with knowing smile. Such bliss, incipient dawn, whose promise teetered on an impatient brink. The early morning world hummed soft with joy as he wriggled in my womb. The sobering drip of sweat from clammy brow announced the reality of motherhood about to be fulfilled. By evening, as the sun descended low, my new babe, pink and fretful, simpered in his cot, while fading sunbeams warmed my furrowed brow and sleep obliterated labour's pain. And the next one is in French with English translation. I've written it. It's not somebody else's French poem, just to be clear. Ma France adorée. J'adore mon petit jardin potager à la Maison Blanche à Limoux. Aujourd'hui, je pense au séjour passé. Les plantes exotiques qui rêvent sous le soleil de midi. Moi, qui m'assieds dans une chaise longue sous le palmier, commence à lire un roman acheté du marché aux puces. Fatigué après le jardinage quotidien au potager, je fais souvent une petite sieste. Alors, je ferme les yeux, j'oublie tout, je m'endors. Et voilà, je suis de retour en ma France adorée. I adore my little allotment garden at the White House in Limoux. Today, I'm thinking of past visits there, of the exotic plants that dream in the midday sun, me sitting down in a deck chair under a palm tree, starting to read a novel bought at the flea market. Tired out from the daily gardening at the patch, I often take a little nap. So I close my eyes. I forget everything. I fall asleep. And there I am, voila, back in my beloved France. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Thank you, Margaret. And well done for doing French poetry. I've often thought I ought to try and write in French, and I've never done it. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Can we all unmute and give Margaret a big round of applause, please? Ooh. And up next, all the way from America, we've got Doc Janning. Hello, Doc. Welcome.
Thank you. I hope everyone is well.
Yes, thank you. And you?
I've three recent poems for you. The intimacy of you. Reflections and memories of seasons gone by. Echo across seas of time. I remember our first meeting, date, dance, and your polka dot dress. Your mother's house, the fireplace mantle, and singing to each other in front of it. The attic room where I tutored you in math. You at my side, in my arms, on dates, at dances, at my senior prom, at my graduation. I remember the hugs and kisses, the warmth and sense of belonging, the sense of home, your love, and the intimacy of you. And then I remember April 1962. Twin paths. I dreamed a dream of love. We walked the twin paths of life and love. All we had to say, all we had to feel was shared in our first kiss, that first ineffable kiss. The world, the universe were non-existent. We were bliss-filled, unaware, reveling in the comfort of each other, reaching for dreams. I cupped her to me as we walked. She who was mine and loved as no other. I savored the luxurious feel of her, the tenderness of her kalistitsos, the other softness of her kalipigos. She responded in pleasure, pressing her sensuous curves into mine. I awake, missing her, her scent, her warmth, yet in my bed, in my mind. And finally, Waltz of Forever. A grand ball, a glittering palace. French doors open wide. You step through, an air of confidence about you. And something else, an aura of love surrounds you. We step toward each other. The blue Danube begins. We take each other's hands, swirl into the luxurious waltz. Music stirs hearts and emotions. We fly on soaring, sensuous notes. We move to and with each other in the music of dreams. Waltz after waltz wafts through the air. We are transported, translated on soft wings of love, entwining in the dance of forever, the waltz of always. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Please unmute and give Doc a big round of applause. Beautiful love poem. Thank you. I don't think we've got Lucia here, have we?
Not to the moment.
Jason? No. Okay. In which case, we're going to move straight on to Pratibha. Pratibha, are you okay for that?
Yes, I'm fine for that. Thanks.
Brilliant.
Okay, so this first poem is from still forthcoming pamphlet, A Triptych of Birds and a Few Loose Feathers by Hedgehog Press. And it's called Wild Lass of Kells. My mother came from Kells, so this is a little whimsy inspired by that. She shuffles on the curb outside O'Shaughnessy's, corner of Kelly and Dunleven Road. Her eyes, the colour of Our Lady's veil, scorched bluer by her copper curls. On the lookout for the da, her task of a Friday night to wheedle the wages off of him before he sets out on the lash. Glad of a break from the chores, socks like a flock of crows forever jostling, hand-me-down frocks in need of hems, pants snagged on barbed wire, nails atop of farmers' walls and fences. Herself, the firstborn of a baker's dozen, endless mopping up of spats, snail snots, scabby porridge pots. Licks of laughter, yellow light, sidle out the gaping door into the night, let out by coaches on their shuffle to the bar. Egypts with purple slurs for eyes, glances tossed her way, collection plate clink of small change at Sunday Mass. The odd time, a flash of lust, the most times shame. A rare smile to build her up. Sure, aren't you a dote now, Delia? Looking out for your mammy. God bless yourself. Eyes cast down, pious daughter of the Virgin, Lord love the child, in her wilting dress, miraculous blue medal clipped to the chest of her tatty cardigan. An occasion of sin, to be sure, Slovenes might take advantage of, till she glances up, that glare, brazen as hell's fires, from the child of Mari of the scry eye, seventh daughter of a seventh son, flame hex of a wild blood tinker. skipping off home to a last scald of the pot, wedge of soda fowl thick with dripping. Her pocket is a clatter of coins, only the lighter by a bleary-eyed pint. Thank you. If there's time for another short one. This was published in the recent copy of Caduceus, and it's called Forest Eulogy. I choose a druid oak to oversee your journey. Rest my back into its gravelled spine, sense its heartbeat syncopate with mine. A winter past we savoured wine, sparkled to rubies by adder tongue flickers in the grate, crackling bark, guzzling, the relics, bone chips of log and ash, silky as the apple blossom talc you loved. Next day, you watched me fork the log's dregs beneath your favourite David Austin. Your last choice, patience, you rest now beside the grate in a copper urn. Dawn sweeps away the night as I gather ash and chips in a shovel arthritic with rust. Cradle your pot, pad a Gretel trail of golden dapple to your guardian tree. Sprinkle ash about its knuckly roots, lift my head to the echo in a blackbird's eulogy of your song.
Oh, wow. I could listen to your poetry for ages. It's brilliant, beautifully done. Thank you so much, Frida. Yeah,
Spectacular, spectacular.
Thank
Ooh.
you so much.
Well done.
Right.
Good
So we go straight on to Annie. Annie Ellis, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Annie.
How many poems can we read?
Well,
then?
it is supposed to be a 3 minutes, but since everybody's doing two small ones are all right, because we have actually lost Lucia, who was going to have a 6-minute slot anyway. So 2 small poems, fine.
Should I still be
Okay,
here?
thank you. Well, both of them are from my book, Nature at a Cost. The first one's called African Dawn. Orange sky fills my heart. Sun rises on the skyline, pulsating through my lungs, its heat sending fire into my soul. Trees shadow against the backdrop, their charred limbs reaching out for new life, bowing with the wind. She rises like a drowning in my throat, scorching the plains, turning them yellow as her fingers spread. The sky turns slowly blue, cooling my thoughts. The dawn leaves a scattering of ashes on my hand. And the second one is from the same book, called Amber Fly. A fly poised on the bark of a tree savoured the blood it had just taken from a herd of dinosaurs. Resting with legs outstretched, it felt food pumping into its tiny veins. Amber rose from the tree's sap, oozing down the trunk, filling its bead with an internal flame. The insect stood motionless as the yellow liquid embraced it forever.
Oh, that was lovely, Annie. Brilliant, thank you. Lovely couple of poems. Big hand for Annie Ellis.
Ew.
Okay, Chris Dickinson, are you ready?
Thank you. Well, I have two, if that is okay.
Yeah. Tonight it is. If we've got a very heavy number, it has to be one, but tonight we can indulge you.
Thank you. Shaping up. Strange how some days fall into shape, the slide of jersey silk, the caress of supple leather, the warmth of a second skin. In Rome, I rested elbows on a counter, unfurling my hand for an Italian. She loved her work, fitting the gift of yellow gloves, palms stroking down smooth to the wrist, close as a promise and snug as a ring. Such instants slip the V of each finger fold, constant leaks becalmed in memory. And images of last times ripple our dreams, a smile, certain songs and hats worn for fun. We miss our people when they leave a room, as if readying ourselves for normality to end. I want the words to stay the time, the skill to be present, hold the hour. How can a moment measure up enough to take the inadequate day for granted and give pause as easily as a remote control? Throughout the routine days, I ask if some habit will remain a task when the next change comes, and we are lost speculating the waste in the past. Our friends are calling, willing us to move on. Thank you. Silver spoons. Too big for my mouth always, the ladles, a pair my father procured for his wife. 22, war-weary, he posts silver, a gift sent home with messages of love. 1945, an RAF man, setting up the radar for peacetime flight. His unit is ordered to mobilise, redeployed to Buchenwald. A witness, he sticks his photos between black pages, scrawls, ovens, sticks of bones, a heap of ash, all that remains. Turn one page to Dad leaning on his jeep, cigarette in hand, a boyish grin for the cameraman. He didn't speak of it. Decades later, someone removed the evidence, maybe Mother, she with the amazing memory, who claimed amnesia. Impossible to ask or learn under what circumstance her man obtained serving spoons from what manner of residence in Berlin. Deprived of domestic comforts, maybe dreaming of the high life with his beloved, or sick with waste, craving the taste of salvage. Shame turns my stomach, the burden of millions broken families. This silverware dull with time, too heavy to handle, never to shine for our table. Thank you.
Lovely, Chris, absolutely lovely. I always love the way you capture your family's life. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. Please unmute and a big hand for Chris Dickinson. Next up, we have Carlos the Unhappy. Welcome, Carl.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. I'm going to do one that some of you have heard before, but hopefully there's enough to it that maybe a second listen won't be that painful after all. So this is called Jesus Came to Me in a Dream Once, I Didn't Ask Him to. Jesus came to me in a dream once, I didn't ask him to. I guess he just does that sort of thing. Came in late night haze of fag smoke, 1977 lounge. Me 6, dozing, parents up 1 a.m. drinking and smoking, wallpaper white with big green leaves and vine. He steps out from magic forest of white fog into fragile dream, assembling like new stars. the dream space of my childhood. Have to go careful there. Home to blue meanies, impossible long division, diabolical kiddie fiddler, Uncle Ernie from Tommy, scary, colder than Cold War nuclear death in my sleep. But Jesus of the dreams was face of peace, glowed sweet hope. And yet I never really believed, even back then, yawned through hymns in assembly, shrugged at Bible stories told as communal telling off, building guilt for shit I didn't even do. Yet. No, never saw the light, but yes, light of the sun turning a field gold, strange light of sunset illuminating the silence of swooping house martins, slow flight of satisfied seagulls of evening by the Wye, dreaming I was an albatross, gliding myself calmly the hell out of here, dreaming I was the cat on wall, brimming with courage and knowing, dreaming, daydreaming, learning to imagine. Imagine light of UFO, again, taking me the hell out of here, especially as I remembered I haven't done my homework. Sick of chores, sick of mum's blood spots along the corridor. I can still see what's on TV through the hole in our lounge door, the old man made with his fists of rage, huge fists that control our house. But imagine instead the tracking searchlight when running away, heart racing with glee. Imagine living in Chepstow after hours, furniture store with Rastus Mouse from Rupert Bear Annual, leaping on king-size beds and best buddy boarding school pillow fights. Imagine all the biscuits in the world are mine. Imagine Jesus of the fag haze wants to help. Imagine he has a plan. Screw you lot, we're going to where the wild things are. Hey, if we're going there, can my friend Pete come too? I feel the empty loneliness of the incredible shrinking man. Looking out at the stars of the universe, knowing no matter how small, he still exists. Jesus says he's never seen it. What's the use? What's the use when you don't know loneliness? Instead, old man pinches arm to wake me. I'm to clear up as they slope off to bed. Empty ashtrays into bin. In my imagination, the sad dust of Joan of Arc. Clear glasses, the yawning innkeeper after the Last Supper. Finally get to bed. Try and ignore the excited wings of the darkling, the dark, dead darkling of the night who waits in the top left-hand corner of my bedroom ceiling, feeds on hope, blows nightmares into my childhood ear with a whisper, and 6-year-old me slides into sleep, longing for a resurrection that never comes. Yep.
Oh, that's brilliant, Carlos. I haven't heard that before. I think it's brilliant. I would love to read it on the page. Thank you so much. Can we all unmute and give Carlos the Unhappy a big round of applause, please?
I don't know what you're unhappy about.
Nice one, Carlos.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I think we'll go straight on to, and we're a little bit early, but I don't think that matters. So I'm sure everybody's looking forward to hearing Charlie. So Charlie, if it's all right with you, we'll have your reading next. I'm just going to read through, looking for my glasses, they're on my head. There you go, there's age for you. Charlie Markwick is a Gloucestershire-born spoken word performer, poet and storyteller. His childhood was spent in the rural Cotswolds, a legacy that influences a lot of his work. His place of residence is now Tournos Darre in Haute-Pyrénées. Sorry. He's a long-time member of the Gloucestershire Poetry Society, and he was poet in residence at the Gloucester Central Library. He published his first book of poems, Orienteering, in 2019, and these pieces appear in the show of the same name. His poetry has been published in the GPS annual anthology Magic in 2019 and in the Trawler, published by the GPS in 2020. Also, Today I Feel Hawaii, haven't come across that one, an anthology of poems edited by the then GPS laureate, Gloucestershire Poet Laureate Brenda Reed Brown, published in 2019. His poems about dementia have been included in a number of newsletters and training resources organised by the NHS. In 2020, Bream Community Library produced videos of him performing his poetry. Charlie is currently working with musicians and visual artists from all over the world to create a project that combines their compositions and his words. So without any more ado, please unmute yourself and give a big hand to Charlie Markwick.
It's a real pleasure to be invited to Gloucestershire Poetry Society to present my poetry tonight, and it's a privilege to share the platform with Daron, and thank you, Josephine. It's almost exactly 3 years since Ziggy invited me to give my first extended reading for GPS. I was very much newer to poetry then, and I was grateful for the opportunity that he gave me. I'd like to thank the friends who patiently listened to my stumbling poetry and give me their candid insights. Without them, I'd be less of the poet than I'm trying to be. I'm amazed at how stanzas have become such an important part of my life. Those 3 years have been extraordinary for us all, and for me it's been astonishing at a personal level as well. And one major change has been moving here to France, where I find I'm writing much more poetry and prose. I've decided to share with you poems that have found me here in the beautiful Hautes-Pyrénées. Quite a lot of my earlier words dwelt on the pain and tragedy in my life. This French set largely celebrates so much the joy that's in my life now. And somehow the hot tub, sunflowers, our oak tree and the church bell in the village seem to be regular visitors in my work. And this is no surprise, as they are for me powerful icons of my good fortune. Bel anniversaire. I wake, hear sounds of early day, birds' tuneful chatter, mewling buzzards circling the sky, dotted hoopoe calls dancing on the grass. The village tocsin marks the starting of the hour, adding harmony and counterpoint, lacing early morning air with brilliance. Wide open windows invite the pungent earthy scent that's rising from the night damp sward. Vivid colours crowd my eyes, sharp shadows fold out and cloak the lawn of droplets left by fleeing moon. 66 today! I marvel at the passing of my time, that in just a sprinkling of years, grief and loss can be transformed. Love, companionship, new ways to live have banished darkness in my life, just like this morning sun creeping over terracotta tiles, filling balcony and room with sharp and vibrant light, warming skin and flooding eyes. Tremendous sounds, piquant smells. This early bright delights the starting of my day. Thank you. Just another day. It was busy, but there was no queue. IKEA is not my favorite place to be, but sometimes it's convenience that counts. What matters though is company. Chris and I enjoy the time and words we spend together. No meatballs though. COVID's killed that fatted pig. After the Swedish hurly-burly, the motorway, we pull off at a service station. Airs, they're called in France. So apt. Their place is full of air, trees giving shady spots to sit. Good food too. Yummy salmon quiche. Then back to share the spoils at home. The day slides on, contemplative and calm. Come the night, the moon rises in the east, big, fat, a butter yellow staining dark plush sky. To finish off the day, we take our nighttime dip. The moon had elegantly crossed the dark. Hidden now, the oak tree plants itself between. And as we lie in steaming water, I drink in the beauty laid before me, dew on the grass looking just like frosted jewels, bright moonlight casting vast shapes, inky shadows snuggling on the lawn, a magic sight that spells out the beauty in my life. Thank you. Night leaves. Stilled, I sit cross-legged on cooling grass. Aeolus, keeper of the wind, is busy gifting warm and heady flurries, gently pushing air towards the Pyrenees. Floral scents are born from countless flowers, some settling in the dark, dark cloak, some opening, inviting nocturnal insects that nuzzle in their nectar. Bats circle round the oak, gorging on this breezy banquet. Though tiny noises paint the silent canvas of the night, across that painting there's a wash of oaken rustling leaves. Musing on this noise, I wonder, in passing, does the wind pick up and store the earthly sounds as it rushes overhead? Laughter, mournful cries, murmured talk, the sounds of passion and those of fitful or sleepy snores. Perhaps what fills my ears are the vibrant depositions, a concerted gift of harmony, sounds silted from the wind to free some space for future acquisition. Thank you. The gift. 37 in the shade today. We drove towards the Pyrenees, cold air playing round us as we gorged ourselves on yellow fields, verdant valleys, then mountain pass. All the time we drove, the sun poured energy on countless sunflowers round the house. On our return, we sit, drink beer, eat pork, then cheese on crispy bread. Darkness slowly blurs the shapes around us. In the dusk, clouds soon quilt the sky. With them comes the breeze, warm and nourishing, welcome, friendly, brushing shoulders, hair and face. Suddenly, a flash of headlights crashed the night. We realize as one, no car. The sunflowers are pouring light back to the sky. Rolling thunder celebrates the gifts received. Flash after flash illuminate the patient oak, give instant color and design to cloud-hid sky. Bless those golden-headed stately plants for redeeming nature's gift in such stupendous ways. Thank you. Tournos d'arrêt. My sleep settled, not fitful, yet the chiming church breaks my dreams. Lying sharp awake, I listen. The night is absolutely still. Stepping out of bed, I window frame myself. It's 3 o'clock. The heat of day is gone, of course. A gentle breeze is cool, caressing sleepy skin. Heavy on the air, the scent, that smell the dew shares with us when it settles on the grass. A perfect moment in my life. I wake again. The ancient village bell tells me now it's 4. Again, I step up to the silent night, but now it's not. Faintly on the air, a keen old rooster is proclaiming that it's day. All around there's other bird song. Gone is the dewy perfume. The adolescent sun now prances round the blades of grass. What holds my eyes, though, is the gold. Gilded swathes, ancient yellow artist strokes, sunflowers yelling, telling me to start my day. Les Cours de Français. I've dedicated this poem to Chris, Denise, Doug, Jason, John, Owen, Sarah, and Natalie, who made this particular adventure so special. Like starlings thronging, grouping in a cloud of elegance, French words and idioms cluster around my head. Numbers, letters, swirl, connecting thoughts, passwords to the things I want to say. To date, the flocks of phrases that I yearn to speak are flitting, hard to shape my tongue around, patterns forming just beyond my lips. Warmth, fun, humour around me, such gifts of pleasure, adding purpose to my efforts bridging these two worlds. I thrill in finding voice in foreign phrase, marvel at new words roosting in my head. The vocabulary of life expands. Time ahead grows shorter by the day. Small price for growing wider wings. Thank you. Hidden edge. The edge between the sheer blue sky and mountainside rippled unexpectedly. At first, I thought the heat. There was no shading on the path between stone and ocean waves. A second look foments unease. Dawning comprehension chills my mind. It's falling rock and avalanche. Hold my hand, I shout. A solid path begins to rock and buck. She turns to clutch my arm. Too late. My horror grows. So does hers as slowly, inexorably, she slips towards the edge. I lunge. An empty gesture as her body slides away. Eyes wide, she tries to anchor just with sight. No hope. I wake in tears, the dream so vivid, terrifying, brutal loss. We had a hearty morning meal, scrambled eggs, juice and cheerful chat, but still her screams rattle round my mind. The dread still squeezes me inside. Borderline. This is for the gardeners amongst you. The ragged ladies caught my heart, captivating me all dressed in blue, waving in the sun. The hair of Venus a dazzle in my mind, sparkling in our early morning dew, beckoning the day. Love in the mist has caught my eye, filled me with passion through and through. She leaves me spent. A devil in the bush has bushwhacked me to puzzle on the tricky question who she really is. Next. Brocante et citron. All the world were there today, each person sporting masks, no one masking their desire to snap up bargains to suit their needs, antiques, bric-a-brac, arcane salvage from countless unknown lives. On our way out, we stop, awed by nets of garlic, plump, fragrant, the size of oranges. We can't resist. Laguna guides us then to Jane and Rob's. I park the car, admire their laden lemon tree. We have a gift, 3 of the garlic. Rob's eyes light up as he hefts the bulbs. Sitting in the shade, we sip morning coffee poured from the pot. With it is a lemon drizzle cake, sunny, inviting us to taste bitter, sweet, moist, soft sponge. We talk the talk of friends, relaxing in the sun. Their potager's a marvel of husbandry, beetroot, beans, tomato plants, and so much more. And as we say our goodbyes, me clutching foil-wrapped remainder of the cake, Jane points and says, I use the lemons from the tree to make the cake. It makes the gift more precious still. Something to savour with our tea later in the day. Thank you. Glowing embers. Toulouse sausage curls up and purrs atop the fire pit. Tasty steaks doze there by its side, and then fresh tomatoes, a gift from Jeannot, roll by to bake. We sit and eat this gorgeous fare, Alma, Alicia, Chris, Flor, Josephine and myself, considering past days, pleased with all the work we'd done with barrows, sand and 6,000 little blocks carefully placed on beaten earth. A patio to sit on, to proclaim the beauty of good friendship, hard work, and just so much fun. Into the hot tub then, steaming water attacks our weary frames, beating off the tiredness, loosening our limbs. Soon I'm left alone, just me and the beauty of the night. The old church bell marks another day, and above the crystal sky glitters. Milky Way like the sand today, scattered on the paving stones to fill the cracks to make a hole. And all the while, wood smoke scents the gentle air, filling me with peace and gratitude. Thank you. Jacques Tati, a man who quietly changed my life. All around the square, there's signs, convoi exceptionnel, no parking. For some days I wondered why. Now I know, the fair has come to town. As I watch a giant octopus rise up, memories of jours de fête flood back. A pre-war rural France, slapstick Tati, a testament to a world beyond my ken. Perhaps that cinema was the herald of this love affair that's now my life. The snapshots in his films enthralled, filled me with geniality, provoked a fascination that sat comfortably through all my stress-filled years. Now, watching the workers raise the 8-armed ride, I smile as steps get moved from one place, one wrong place to yet another, the same confusing choreography that showed his art. Their placing right by platform edge harks back to that comedy, anticipation, glints of disaster in the wind. Then a man, antithesis of Jacques Tati, not lank and gangly, but plump, compact, steps up. The ladder tips overboard into the sea that is the square. I watch again the flawless, agile moves of ancient celluloid as this man of now steps away unharmed. My last poem for this evening is called Chains. The chainsaw's loud, very loud, an adolescent throaty war. It split the roar, it splits the silence, tears chips from old felled trees. Not only does sound travel through the cold frost French air, it also leaps to me from 50 years ago. And here I am, not two grown men cutting Gascon wood, but my father and his son, me, just 15 years old, harvesting winter timber in Cotswold copse. Often the frost or snow would chill our hands, give taste and flavour to the thermosed soup we'd dip our bread in when we stopped for lunch. Not just the noise that takes me back. There's nothing to compare with the camaraderie of outside work with friends. I found it then all that time ago working with my dad. And today that same feeling swells inside as Chris and I cut up fragrant chestnut logs. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was brilliant, Charlie. Thank you. Please unmute and give an enormous applause for Charlie Markwick. They were fabulous poems. I am hungry for food and I am hungry for the south of France. I miss France. You created, it was like it was in the room, you know, we were all there. Anybody who's been to France, anybody who's understood those sights and sounds and smells and the actual sense of the air, you had it all. So that was brilliant. Thank you so much, Charlie. It was brilliant. One more big hand for Charlie Markwick. So I'd like to do another big hand for all the open mic for the first half because they were brilliant too. Lots and lots of talent. Wow, thank you. Well, it's now just coming up to 8, so we're going to have our break. Probably 10 minutes. We'll be back by 8:10, if that's okay for everybody. Get yourself a coffee, tea. If you've got any lemon drizzle, some of that. I wish I had.
I can make you some lemon drizzle.
I love
Yay, lemon drizzle.
I'd love to make you some lemon drizzle. Next time I see you, I will present you with some Robin-made lemon drizzle.
I love lemon drizzle. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, everybody. So yeah, we'll be back here at 8:10.
Lemon drizzle.
Carry on.
See you all.
Okay, we're going to start for our second half, and I'm just wondering what to read. I think I'm going to read this poem because I never really write about mythical characters. It's not my scene. A lot of people write about mythology and Greek mythology, and especially. And I was at a workshop with Anna Saunders, and she wanted me to write a poem about Medusa. So I thought, okay, I'll write a poem about Medusa, but with a difference. So I've twisted the myth, and in this, Medusa is in love with the young man who's coming to kill her, and so it's called Medusa in Love. My sisters sleep while I protect and guard. Many will say that I sleep too, not so. I see him walk towards our cave, watch the gleam of sunlight on his sword and shield, know my time has come. I love this youth and lower my eyes, feeling no desire to curse. I listen to the hissing of my hair and know how monstrous I've become. Gone the beauty with heavy tress falling to waste, capturing the devotion of men and the lust of gods. When Poseidon strode into the temple, I was curious. Did a moment of temptation deserve such disgrace? The young man's shadow passes, petrified forms of those who've dared to look. He unsheathes his sword. I catch a glint of light from the surface of his shield. The snake heads writhe and spit, venom dripping from their mouths. But my heart grows as heavy as stone, and as his sword steadies for its stroke, I refuse to look upon his face. Thank you. And so we'll get straight on with Jake Wildman. Welcome, Jake. Where are you?
Hello, hello. Can
Hi.
everybody hear me? Sorry, I've been very quiet so far. I hadn't intended this. Is very cheeky because I'm rushing off at past, and I feel very rude doing
You
a
are exceedingly rude, but we'll
I'm going to
forgive you
do a
this
shorty
time.
one. And I'm not going to do the one I'd intended to do either. This one instead, because we've talked about mythology and we've talked about inspiration from other writing and other, like, fantasy-styled universes. This came from a workshop with Charlotte Lunn, no less, who was last month's headliner.
Yes.
We looked at writing from literature, and naturally I brought along Anne Rice's interview with the vampire, because the little goth in me just needed that. And one of the practices was to take a character and put them into a situation that they would never be in. Given that I had interview, I chose to take Claudia and put her into a Nottingham nightclub and imagine what would happen if our little vampire child, who is trapped as a child forever, were to somehow make it into a nightclub. And somehow it became a feminist masterpiece. I don't write feminist works very often, being as I am a straight white male bloke, but it's kind of good. I like it. This is Claudia in Rock City. They don't know my age, not in either direction. Mayhaps they wouldn't stare so, mayhaps these bouncers should never have let me pass through the doors of this sticky and seething place. Their eyes glaze, the men, as though I haven't the body of a child nor the heart of a predator. Louis would not love me any more for these things that these leers make me wish that I could do. Painting the walls and floors with their alcohol, such vile spew as to bring retching unto the drinker, their spit, their lack of wit, and with their dancing. It is all very uncivilized. And were I not so obviously being victimized, I might admit there's something to this 21st century nightlife. As it stands, the hands wandering across my posterior, the lewd whispers in my ear, the boy who presses me into a corner as though I am his meal. This will not do. I ought to paint this place myself, with his entrails. At least one of my fathers prepared me well, and I will take said boy away. I learn that he is just 18 now, coming of age for this decade, it seems. Still, no pity deserved. He is a dog. Well, a stat taught me that I am a wolf. No 19th birthday next year, for him or for me. Just a funeral. And that's it. That's what I got.
Apologies, I'm muted. That was brilliant. Thank you, Jake. A big hand, please. Unmute and give him a big hand. Really different and quirky and brilliant. Fabulous. And feminine, you know. Can't lose. Okay, then we move on to Alice, please. Alice Stainer, welcome.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be with you for the first time. And I'm going to read a couple of poems. The first one is was published recently in 192 magazine, and it feels quite appropriate because it's a kind of mythology kind of piece. I won't say anything more than that because I expect you'll cotton on. So it's called Underworld. The sun is solid gold today. It sears her skin like press of guilty coin on tender palm. The cornfield, too, is burnished. Poppies she gathers at its edge are brothel red, the scabious whiffs of his wine-flushed breath. Despite the breeze, she cannot breathe at all. Bees vibrate in her cranium. She already tastes their honey. What is this force that cleaves the earth? Below there is no molten heat, but cool as a crevasse, it gapes invitingly. she slips beneath. Here is no wind but a sigh, like fingers ghosting over strings. There is no sound of speech or song. The stillness sinks into her bones. Darkness blooms now, petal soft, upon her reaching fingertips. Respectfully, he lingers in the shade. Seeds burst on her tongue like grenades. In a technicolor flash, like Dorothy, she fathoms all. That yellow bricks clatter the retina and emeralds laser too deep. But emergence into monochrome feels, for all the world, like coming home.
Wow, that's lovely.
Thanks, everyone. And I thought I'd try this one out on you. It's quite a new one, actually. So if you've got any comments that are sort of constructive or, you know, potentially destructive, do let me have them. And it's called Headlands. And it's got an epigraph from Virginia Woolf, one of her essays. And the epigraph is, "But where there are goals only, life is not." Headlands. Craning long Chelonian necks, they nose beyond the bay, noisily sucking surf through teeth like a naughty child at tea. A difficult place for sediment on these discordant shores. Shaping clay is washed away, exposures taper to their points. Though flanks are cave gouged, waves bully and break, resistance is ingrained. They rise above the blows. Up there is the lurch of seagoing, whilst lubbered to the land. Almost islands, not quite pledged to the tenets of the sea. Though vulnerable to wind swirl and the sea mist's clutch and tang, their tethering is palpable. The rugged way back is always open. On sprung turf tops, the blues of squill and sheepspit recall there is possible music in the sea shifts far below. They probe those salt uncertainties, though keep their findings close. Only the gulls know, advertised in cruel beaks and corrosive eyes, as planing currents of regret they pick through doubts like chip bags, seizing on neglect. Ahead, beyond, only gulls may go. But headlands keep their counsel, as deep in their bedrock they know the rugged way back is always open. Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alice. They were lovely.
Lovely.
Can you please unmute and give Alice a big round of applause? Yes, Alice was our winner of last year's Gloucestershire Poetry Competition, the winter one. And I must just use this opportunity as a plug. We have our summer Open Poetry Competition 2021 open right now, and it's open till the 31st of August. So please, please, please put in some poems. We've got Adam Horowitz as our judge, so it's going to be fabulous. And not only do you have a cash prize as the winner, but you will also be published in Steel Jackdaw magazine. So what can you lose? Okay, after that plug, we will go back to the open mic. Thank you, Alice. And now straight on to Stilly, Andrew Stillborn, who I'm sure has got some wonderful stuff for us. Welcome, Stilly.
Can I screen share?
Yes, you should be able to. Jason?
Oh, yeah, I can. Okay, thank you very much. Let me just, oh gosh, let me. So you're plugging your poetry competition. I'm going to plug my show. This is the first time I'm doing a show, and it's for the Edinburgh Free Fringe at PBH's Free Fringe 2021. Usually, because I do these sort of poetry events, I'm very limited to the sort of poems I can do because they're quite short, and most of my poems are really long. And because I can't do poetry competitions and I can't submit my stuff for anthologies and stuff. There isn't many ways for me to actually get my my longer poems out there. So if you can, I'll put the link in afterwards, and you can come along. It's for 13 nights, which I can't quite believe I'm putting myself up for that, but 13 nights. So there'll be about 5 or 6 poems, but a different poem every night, and this won't be one of them. And this one is called The Eternal Dandelion. A weed has appeared on the gardener's lawn, an unwanted pest which must be withdrawn. But under the weed, there in the earth, something is glistening, something of worth. Under the weed, there in the ground, the gardener has dug up an old English pound. And under the weed and under the pound, his spade hits a pipe 2 feet underground, a gurgling pipe which is carrying fluid, possibly water, but most probably sewage. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe with its gurgling sound, he's dug up a bomb all old and eroded, which someone has dropped but hasn't exploded. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, he's discovered the corpse of a once alive cat, the bomb's only victim, not blown up but flat. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat whose corpse he's uprisen, he's dug through a tunnel attached to a prison, and 3 eager cellmates, bored with their sentence, have made their escape with no plans for repentance. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's hole, he's dug up the remains of Sir Henry Walpole, who'd died whilst avoiding the Battle of Flodden, and whose burial site has long been forgotten. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's hole and under the remnants of Sir Henry Walpole, he's dug up a stone on which it is written the original rights to rule ancient Britain, which when translated by history scholars gives martial rule to wives and their daughters. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's hole and under the night and the feminist rule, he's dug up a skull of a dinosaur's head after making quite sure that it is still dead. A Jurassic lizard, long-necked and colossal, which once lived off plants but is now just a fossil. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's hole and under the night and the feminist rule, and under that skull of some brontosaur, he's dug up a lump of platinum ore, which seems to be stuck in a rock in the ground, and so he's decided to further dig round. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's rule, and under the night and the feminist rule, and under the skull and the platinum ore, he's dug up and found a rare meteor which contains the microbes which caused life to begin 4 billion years earlier, give or take a million. And under the weed and under the pound and under the pipe and that bomb that he's found, and under the cat and the prisoner's hole and under the night and the feminist rule, and under the skull and the platinum ore and under the rock which started it all, he's dug up and found a layer of lava which has shot him back up. Oh, what a palaver. And over the weeds and over the pound and over the pipe and that bomb that he found, and over the cat and the prisoner's hole and over the night and the feminist rule, and over the skull and the platinum ore and over the rock and the lava uppour, he took a look down below into the earth's core and dies from the thought of digging some more. And when it cooled down and the volcano stopped on that mountain he'd made, his grave they then topped over the weed and over the pound and over the pipe and that bomb that he found, and over the cat and the prisoner's hole and over the night and the feminist rule, and over the skull and the platinum ore and over the rock and the fiery earth's core. But inside the coffin where he is interred, under 6 foot of earth, where a weed has appeared.
Magic.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous, 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 fabulous. Always fabulous. Thank you so much, Andrew Stillborn. Please, please unmute and give your appreciation for some fabulous talent there. Well done.
So I'll put my show up, and if you can come, that'd be great. And also, Beth Hartley is doing is promoting her new pamphlet thing, and I'm going to read at that. So I'm just going to put some stuff in about that as well.
Yeah, do please, please. Yes, I'm really going to try and get to that. Sounds fabulous. Very best of luck with it. 13 nights.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and I've got
now, well done. Lovely. Thank you so much. I don't think Maggie is here, is she? Maggie Clatterbuck?
Nope.
No? Okay. No. So then we'll go on straight on. Well, actually, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a switch round here, if everybody's okay. And I'm going to put Jason on next. And then we'll have Robin Hoodshaw, and then we'll have Clive Oseman, and then we'll have Daron. So, Jason, take it away, please.
Thank you. I've got one to share to you tonight, which is kind of all about the creative spirit and celebrating that. And it's called I Am Iridescent. I am iridescent, the stuff of stars, reflecting rainbows from sunlight, a smile of white chalk that stretches taut-lined skin and glistening eyes to draw you in. My life is a spectrum, but where did I begin? Birthed from pink and red, I scratched the clear air with screams of blushed fear. My tears ran translucent down wrinkled warm flesh, leaving sparkled strokes. When I began to walk, the world became a wonder, to explore and feel its textures. When I could talk, scrawls of confused language doodled through the breeze. As I grew old enough to roam, Gaia's classical wilderness called to me in textured symphony. The green of grass, bush and tree, yellow of sand and sun, blue of water and sky, of silver in reflection, red of blood and love, brown of mud, of bark and black of dream-filled nights. My days were kaleidoscopic. Her wilds sang to me in rhythmic colour, made me dance on powdered ground, splash through flowing channels, bristle meadows in bloom. Scale chords of rising stone, rest on clovered weaves and gaze the changing heavens. They were songs of exploration, the joy of gaping adventure that delighted my sight and guided my feet. She has radiated through me a multiplicity of expression. I made Mother Earth my source, my silent primary teacher, the greatest artist with an infinite palette, with boundless swatches to discover. Perfectly balanced compositions defined in chiaroscuro. Her velvet brush fueled my senses, gave my hands permission to draw, to mix, to paint, mimic her tints and shadows. She swirled the passion, ignited ideas. Ideas that raced for purchase, conjured a myriad of things as they entwined in lush tapestries. Things that mirrored her multi-layered beauty, that framed her awe-filled vistas for others' eyes to sponge, her coloured colorscapes, captured colorscapes. My tributes bring her infinite hues to the grey and red of urban boxes where people labour for rewards as they pine for silver-lined escapes, thirst for time to stall in flamed sunsets and pasteled haze. They exist to hang in thought, decorate walls, coat screens in splashed expressions of nature. My words sculpt paper into mountains, cream fibres into evergreen forest. Sky-rich oils bleed lined landscapes, and the finger flow of charcoal type patterns glass in story. My gifts are learned from her colours, the tones and shades of masterpieces. She is the grand master, painting the beauty and power of life, and I am just a pupil, reciting her elemental treasures to make my mark in the world, until my pages flatten and my ink fades, blending back to her earth. I am and will always be pearlescent, refracting mother's light, like a shell found by a playful child. Lift my words to your ears, Raise my vision to your gaze and dream a while. Let my lessons grant your wishes to wander her gallery of charms, while your lungs can sigh and your eyes can blink her canvas, for we may not live it twice. Some say that art is life, and if this is true, where will your brush paint you?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. That was great. Please unmute and give Jason a big round of applause. Thank you. Okay, and now we come on to Robin Hood Shaw. Are you there, Robin? Has he disappeared? No.
Sorry.
Love the hat.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Oh wow. I just remember the first time I played with Daron. He won a poetry slam. He won the Gorilla Slam, the last one I was in, and that was like an epic night. And I did a piece of work which is actually the lyrics to a song. So I thought I'd play the actual song to him and like throw in some bit of ad lib about Josephine Lay and the lemon drizzle and you know all that sort of stuff. Big shout out to Charlie and the French dude kipping in the background. Yeah. Big shout out to all the open micers. Yeah. Patrice Greer, you're better than beer. I don't drink beer. But you're still better than beer, I reckon. This real life, this how I roll, this real stride. Cause this is me, this is how I go. Yo, what's up? I kick funky joints up. Hang on. You can tell by my chin that I'm getting fat. I'm middle-aged and I love, ow! Yes, I'm 45 years old. I remember Spano Ballet when they sang. True. I'm getting too old for Netflix and chill. I get more excited when I go to Donnell Mill. I got this new curtains, they match this new rug from the bargain section. As I kick it like a thug, we drive off from the car park at a sensible speed. We are going home with burger staff for our tea. I get home hungry, I want to stuff my face, but one of my cats has stolen my sofa space, so I put the tray down and I sat on the floor. Then the little guy got me with his paw. I'm about to get comfy, the cat leaves the seat. This is real life and it's happening to me. This real life, this how I roll. Yo, what's up? I kick funky joints. I feel old gangster when I get more nectar points. And then Tesco Club Card points. I don't drink tea and I don't drink coffee. You'll find me in a squash aisle when I go shopping. Orange is okay, but it's too ordinary. Cause I'm down with the cherries and the berries. Cherries and the berries, kicking mad flavor. Look, 3 for 2 on a 6-pack of Quavers. When I get marmalade, I am the man. I open up the jar and I listen to the jam. Oh, my trolley stuck, here's another jam. Then I turn around and trip over a pram. Angry mum, looking at me, giving me evils violently. I'm really sorry, by the way, I just mean to trip over that woman. Thank you. It's real life. Thank you for having me. Thank you,
Robert. Woo! Resounding with a big hand to Robin Hood Shaw. Where was my lemon drizzle cake? I'd like to know.
I'm going. I'll make you amazing lemon drizzle cake.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Okay. Last but not least of our open micers is, oh, God knows what's happening tonight. I have no idea. But here he is, the one and only Clive Oseman. Big hand, please.
Hello. Right, actually, I'm going to be a bit more conventional tonight. Yeah, I'm going to be a bit more serious. I don't very often do serious stuff these days, but this needed writing. I think it's to do with some recent events. How can you trust anyone these days? We all paint a picture different to the script we write with behind the scenes actions. We use the socials to make an impression that's usually fake, filtering character as well as face. Any one of us could be the next big news story, for good or bad, and it makes me sad when I'm proven wrong about the character of an online friend. Someone I would have supported to the end. Why not just be yourself? You always get found out if you pretend. There's been so much drama of late, people proclaiming love and practicing hate, and I will never hesitate to call the bullshit they demonstrate. Hang on, this could be important. I'll only be a second, hang on. All right, mate. Yeah, look, I can't stop. I'm doing a poetry thing on Zoom. Ooh, paranoid much? No, it's not about you, you dickhead. Fucking hell. Anyway, why ring now? If you're watching me on Zoom, what? I told you not to call me on this number over this. Hang on, I need to mute myself. Hang on. All right, I'm really sorry about this. This will only take a second, I promise. So please bear with me. Hang on. Okay, I'm muted. I told you not to call me on this number. Calls can be easily traced. And if you get me implicated in this, fuck you. I've paid you enough. You get paid for taking the risk. If I wanted to risk getting caught, I'd do the fucking job myself. Look, don't make me lose my temper. You know what happened to Alan when I lost her. Well, no. Okay, you don't know exactly, but you know he went missing, and that's all you need to know. Don't ask fucking questions, jeez. Just follow the instructions. No violence. Not this time. No, there's no need. Any trace of violence raises the alarm. We don't need that. No, I'm warning you. I don't want violence. And if you use it, I'll have you chopped into little pieces. Listen, I don't know what's so fucking hard to understand. You use the key I gave you to gain entry via the back door. The stuff is hidden in a Bisto tin, in the cupboard nearest the cooker, top shelf. You take that, you smear the novi on the door handles, and you leave. Job done. You don't have to. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hang on. Oh, fuck me. I didn't mute. Oh, Jesus, that was the camera. Hang on. Oh, Jesus. I was just practicing the amateur dramatics. That's all I was doing. It was the amateur dramatics that, we got to play on. Oh, fucking hell. What have I done? Oh, Jesus.
Is he coming back?
God knows.
Never know what you're going to get with.
You just never know. You just never know. You just know to get ready. Oh, Clive.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I love watching the faces. And I'll tell you what, last night I did that as an event and 2 people left halfway through. And I was thinking, are they going to ring the police over?
Well, actually, luckily, I think there was 1 or 2 people who were wondering, but we were putting comments on the chat, so they got the clues.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Well
please
done.
unmute and give a big round of applause for Clive and only one of them. My goodness. I'm trying to remember what what you dropped me into 3 or 4 months ago. I can't, being rather ancient, my brain going now.
Oh, when you thought the Zoom had, you thought Zoom had frozen.
Sorry?
The Zoom had frozen.
Oh, that's right. I really did think his Zoom had frozen, and he was just sitting there dead still.
And I've got the recording in the background of, like, I've made it so that my voice kept coming in and out and in and out.
That's right. I think he's losing it, I said. Yes. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that, Clive. It was brilliant, as usual. Okay. Now we're going straight on to our feature of the night, which I'm really looking forward to. And as Robin Hood Shaw has already mentioned, Daron Carey won our Gorilla Slam. Was it 2-3 years ago now? Must be 3 years ago, I think. I find with the pandemic, it's very difficult to remember. And that was in the Black Cat bar up of what's Costa in Gloucester. Okay, so a multi-slam winning poet, Daron Carey performs poems featuring flawed characters with whom he is proud to claim kingship. Drawing upon an extended residency in the parlour of hedonism and excess, he emerged with poems reeking of realism, whilst others are served rich in imagery and soaked in surrealism. I'm really looking forward to this. Please, can you unmute and give a big hand for Daron Carey?
Woo! Stage debut. I had no idea I was walking into a farce. Strode through the stage door, believing I was the romantic lead. Stood in the wings, incredulous, open mouthed at my own ineptitude. Then the woman in the Mayan headdress doing the Mexican wave says, "Haberdashery, I bet he's never been to bourgeoisie." Then everyone looked at me. And if versatility isn't my watchword, didn't I stride onto stage as bold as a terracotta policeman? I didn't like the way the script was turning, so I opened with a 5-hour monologue denouncing farcical plot lines and the danger of placing too little emphasis on the physical. The accidental acrobats somersaulted into the audience, clearing the first 3 rows. The director marched onto stage, claiming diplomatic immunity, then knelt at the footlights and said, "It may be true, I've never owned a car, but you keep watching, I'll hang myself in a Bentley." Then he flounced off, reciting the 9 times table and tapping his Rolex. Maybe the crucifixion scene was a little over the top, but I ask you, has crimson ever looked so biblical? And what did I care? I've been resistant to voodoo since bankruptcy. Derrieres were rising from velvet, so I wheeled on Tiananmen Square, a giant sunflower in his other hand for the tank barrel. When the slow hand clapping started, it never wilted. There was nothing else for it, so I set fire to the curtains and announced, "All encores will be performed at sea without a safety net." All this, and everyone still flocked to see the Buster Keaton movie being shown on the harbor master's telescope. This next poem came about when I was reconnecting with the feelings that I had when I began to write poetry. I didn't tell anyone that I was writing poems for a long time. For me, kind of poetry seemed somewhere out there, somewhere beyond. And poets also. I'm really glad you're much closer now. I'd like to say a massive thank you to everybody who shared poems tonight. A special thank you to Josephine, Peter, and Jason. All your poems have been absolutely fantastic. But this poem, it came from, yes, as I said, it's called Let's Steal a Fishing Boat. I'm dreaming, I'm a poet, fluttering vanity in a Tahitian breeze, sipping sundowner cocktails on the ocean white hotel veranda, watching the big melt. The man at the bar, slicing bull's ears and wiping them onto his balls, turns out to be an Ernest Hemingway lookalike. He catches me watching, so I tie dream catches to my toes. He pours, snorts up dust and says, "This is my final pass, and my neck is aching." "Aye, Jolly, why not give this one a swerve? We'll steal a fishing boat, fill the hold with strong liquor and warm cardigans, sell the anchor, set a course for Shangri-La. We'll have champagne cocktails for breakfast, only ever speak in short sentences, and everything we write will turn to sea salt. His eyes are almost in our cabin, so I dance big game across his gaze. Giraffes wheel suitcases through international departures, while lions hunt cubs in immigration. Elephants head for the Alps, tromboning for Hannibal, and hyenas cackle in the Glasgow Empire, sniffing for blood. We're 3 miles high when I remember. I've forgotten my notebook. You know the one, still wearing a sheepskin coat in this heat. I've been saving it to write this poem. These next 4 poems now are all on a subject that I've been wanting to write about for a real long time. I guess poems come when they're ready. You can't force them. I'm guessing that the subject matter will become apparent as I progress through the poems. We'll see. Revelation. I'm barefooting the halls of recollection. The one where I did the summer season as Coco the Clown in that big budget production, Delusional Maximus. I slept on the staircase most nights, treading water in a straitjacket, whispering my mantra, I'm not to blame. This blood isn't mine. When she made it onto set, I'd be frying breakfast through the letterbox, screaming at the Methodists. Of course I've got planning permission. I'm a conservation area myself. Every bona fide revelation begins this way. Could you take a skewer through your tongue? In the dead of night, I daubed a white cross on the door of every pub that hadn't barred me. At sunrise, I set up as a street food vendor shallow frying lame excuses, sat mute in the barbers for weeks, refusing a haircut, deluded in my own grandeur. I opened the town fete 3 weeks early, walked my dog in a bath chair, set my sights to scattergun. After burning my wagon, I moved into installation art, a piece I'd named The Final Straight. Man prostrate on quarry tile floor, jagged angle body posture, coagulating hemoglobin soundtrack. When the blue lights came, I ran away. I have an absolutely awful, and I mean awful, atrocious sense of direction. But this poem's about losing your direction in another way. Faulty compass. Perhaps someone gave me a map. Maybe I lost it or traded it for a faulty compass. I don't remember. It's easier that way. I saw them queuing at the turnstiles, so decided to head off alone for the steep contours. Someone said they were guides, but if that's true, I never saw one. Or if I did, I've forgotten. Or maybe they were reading from a book in another language by a light I couldn't see. She knew all this, her head tilted, listening, the night of the ambulance. This isn't my blood, is a fair statement when building a skeleton argument. I'm no believer, but there were signs. I saw my father's eyes in another man's head, which could have been the spell that drew me there and here, where no one seems to mind when I ride the flatbed truck backwards, throwing empty bottles and laughing at the wreckage. This next poem is a reimagining of a meeting. I attended many meetings in my quest to achieve sobriety. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm an alcoholic. In fact, I'm pleased that I'm alcoholic because once I got myself sober, which was a messy and protracted affair, I was able to reinvent myself and have a new life. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. So this is a reimagining of a meeting where the afflicted with raging thirsts work on rebuilding themselves. It's called Fishbone Castle. On the hill, there's a castle made from fish bones. The moat is dry, sprouting coat hooks. They're setting up trestle tables beside the queue of sinners. A breast pocket radio mast forecasts turbulent truths and heavy storms of electric soup. Heads turned skyward, mouths open in harmony. Please don't stare. These people ache to be someone else. Tenderfoots are trading bottle tops for blushes and searching their pockets for someone else's truth. An astronaut is screaming, "Can't you see? We're headed for the crucifixion. They're nailing the big book to the cross." But no one can hear him. There's a pirouette of jesters discounting horse plumes. beside a woman selling shoes that will only ever walk you home, is a tipsy mermaid barking, "Step right up, step right up. You've got unlucky faces." Unicycle the wall of death without spilling a drop, and tomorrow will never come. Ho, 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 ho. They're tumbling stratagems. There's a rumor they're planning on melting down our armor to replace the railings they dropped on Dresden. Protesters waving placards, "Save the bilingual nightcap." By the doorway, Dylan embraces the faithful, then anoints them with the ash of his poems. There's a man hugging the wall. He's folding miniature paper Buddhas and sliding them behind his dog collar. It's like Jesus, but without the wine. Bubbling up from beneath a memory of a toddler, face down in a garden pond, dripping lilies and screaming at the sky. Does anyone know why? Some people embrace a curse. The dungeons are full of laughing policemen burning their own alibis. No one can leave until the sun hurts their eyes. Don't mistake this for a comedy. After the chanting, on the way out, they place a tire around your neck. The accelerant must be sourced elsewhere. And now I'd like to share with you the first couple of minutes of a show that I'm currently writing. It's about a character called Billy. It's called Billy's Last Orders. Billy's booked the town hall and is writing the guest list to his 7-year hallelujah sobriety party. And he's thinking, what the hell? Why not? Because the truth is, without her, there's no way he would have ever made it this far. Everyone's against it, of course. This is a really bad idea, Billy. Could be one of your worst. It's hard to tell. There's been so many. Can't you remember the pain? They ask. Granted, it didn't end well, I'll give you that. To be frank, it was fucking carnage. But before that, the fun we had. I swear I can still hear the cries of embarrassing laughter. Sobbing somewhere. Have you forgotten? She was the one that made us all dance once. Despite the protestations, Billy's tapping a number into the phone. What do you mean she won't take my call? Breech birth in a liver failure? I'll wait. They're putting me through. What? You can't remember me? Don't give me that. I know there were blackouts, but we drank 9 lives together. You name me young drunk, most likely to disappear without a trace back in 1984. Nostalgia's getting the better of Billy. He's getting desperate. Say you'll come, even if you won't. Send someone who looks like you, even if they don't. Wear a disguise. come as a lie unaware of the truth, rock up sandblasted in a coracle, come bristling in epaulets, bunker smooth in awkward recollections, deny everything. I've destroyed the photos. I mean, it's not like we haven't done this kind of thing before, is it? Billy was sure he had a laugh before the phone went dead. The party was a sober affair. Asparagus croquet on white cotton tablecloths. Pearl did a turn on the powdery bones. Earl Grey in paper doilies. Few managed the extended pinky. And all evening, Billy couldn't help wondering when just before closing time, an oil tanker plowed into the room, its hull ruptured, spewing crude, and she, arms outstretched at the helm, majestic in her destruction, the high jinxess of the wobbly goblet. For my final poem, I'd like to, I'm going to stay on the surrealist side of the street. It's quite sunny presently there. And this one's called Waldo Goodfellow. No. Did you ever wonder how your perception of time moves at different speeds depending upon your current circumstances or your state of mind? Waldo Goodfellow certainly had. And although it was sometimes since Waldo had gifted his watch to a man who would never learn to tell the time, tick-tock, and so was unaware of the current time, tick-tock, Waldo Goodfellow knew this was his time. We find Waldo pushing a wheelbarrow containing 1,526 golf balls and a sand wedge down an exceptionally long tree-lined drive. Sitting on the branch of a sycamore tree is the ghost of Curtis Strange, who smiles at the exact time, tick-tock. Waldo Goodfellow raises one eyebrow and begins to whistle Dixie. Waldo's destination is an exclusive golf club which can't be named for fear of libel action. Its members being a conspiracy of the legal and political establishment, wigged and gowned, take him down, and political princes of self-advancement. The Union flag on the 18th green is raised every morning at 7 a.m. and lowered half-mast every time a member of the royal family sneezes or is exposed to be anything other than the paragons of virtue they would have us believe. Prince Andrew. Now, this wasn't the kind of golf club that welcomed golfers like Waldo Goodfellow, who incidentally had never played golf in his life. Waldo was a man who knew far more than he ever showed. Don't show. Don't show. They'll never know. After upending his wheelbarrow by the door, Waldo Goodfellow strode confidently through the bar, winking provocatively at everyone. Kicked open the boardroom door, turned, and demanded that the extraordinary general board meeting be convened immediately. Lights flickered on ornamental chandeliers. Benjamin Franklin. And hurried telephone calls were made. Lord Beaversnatch had to wait for his heartbeat to subside. Tickety-boom, 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 tickety-boom. owing to the sixes of poppers he had recently inhaled, administered by a dominatrix madam through a hole in his gimp mask, while he was tied to a spanking bench, wearing stockings, suspenders, and a Shirley Temple wig. Lord Beaversnatch resented every single note he peeled from his snakeskin wallet, convinced as he was that without this untimely interruption, this would surely have been the greatest ejaculation he had ever experienced. Waldo Goodfellow sat motionless at the head of the table as the boardroom filled with the not so great and the not so good. Inside his pockets was a copy of the treaty Sitting Bull had refused to sign at Fort Laramie, which Waldo had crudely altered for the purposes of this particular land grab. Enter, stage left, Lord, hear, hear, order, 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 who demanded to know what the devil is happening here. Waldo silenced him with the look he had learned from a court bailiff he had once encountered in Cricklewood. Pin drop, pin drop, pin drop. The neural networks in Waldo's brain crackled like the very first electricity ever transmitted. Lightning strikes, or Thomas Edison. Lightning strikes, or Thomas Edison. Lightning strikes, or Thomas Edison. As the clock chimed 2, Queen's Counsel, Freemason, an approved speaker for the Women's Institute, remembered his arrangements to collect his daughter from her ballet class. But this was Custer's last stand. And after all, hubris is hubris. Waldo took the measure of the Queen's Counsel and decided that he looked hungry for something. Unlike Waldo, while waiting, a taste of privilege in the form of steak. Ta, ta, ta. As this was playing out, a good woman who had spent her life helping others took her final breath, alone, on a trolley in a hospital corridor. Have you ever wondered that our very first breath is in and that our final breath will be out? While in a corridor directly adjacent to the recently deceased, a stethoscope-wearing junior doctor hurried in response to his bleeper, wondering if this was Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Back in the boardroom, Waldo Goodfellow leaned forward and removed the spectacles from the face of a retired rear admiral who was lamenting the demise of the Royal Navy. Pipe him aboard! Roll Britannia! Boudica, Boudica, Boudica! Boston Tea Party. Waldo popped the lenses and carefully placed them perpendicular to a glass display case containing Margaret Thatcher's final breath. It was 40 days and 40 nights when Waldo Goodfellow secured his final signature. After waiting patiently for the ink to dry, Waldo raised himself up, removed his ringmaster's coat, scooped up the treaty, strode to the door, turned, and ripped it into tiny pieces. For Waldo Goodfellow knew, just like Sitting Bull, that no one can truly own the ground upon which we walk. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Wow.
And give a fabulous applause. I mean, I've never seen or heard anything like it.
Oh
It was
goodness.
fabulous from beginning to end. Have you any books? Nothing. All this stuff. You should be on the BBC. You should be, you should certainly be in Edinburgh Festival or something.
Yes,
I think it was amazing.
Thank you so much. That's very kind, Josephine. Thank
Can we
you.
have another big round of applause for a fabulous performance, Daron Carey. Remember that name because you're going somewhere.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Whew. What do we do after that? But
I need to lie down.
I'm gonna have to sort my brain out. I'm gonna have weird dreams. I just feel as if I've been moved sideways and my head is doing something else and I can't quite grab hold of. I would say, how does Crafty Crows follow that? But actually, next time on Wednesday, the 1st of September, we are going to follow that. And I think it'll be just as wonderful, though very, very different, because we're going to have the fabulous Helen Ivory coming and also Kitty Donnelly. So 2 features next time. Both of them brilliant. If nobody's read anything of Helen Ivory, I do urge you to look up the Anatomical Venus. It's all about the history of women and medicine, and well, it's just amazing. So I think that's probably it. As Jason said, gobsmacked, ransacked, and what was that, Jason? Can you say it?
Laugh on back.
Laugh on back. That was fabulous, Daron. Thank you so much. I've nothing else to add to that because I don't think you can. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all, the open micers and everybody. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Clive, for a very weird and odd, strange situation. And good night all. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes. I've got to try and let my brain settle.
Yes.
I'm almost glad I haven't got a brain.